before I let you go, I do want to talk about this breakup that has happened. I want to go back to the two SLGBTQI plus. Okay, what is the debate with the breakup? Like, who's wanting to do the breaking up? Who's wanting the
So
divorce?
a lot of I think maybe moderate or right-leaning people who fall in the L or the G or the B want a divorce from the TQIA plus community because frankly, that's where the most radical people are at. That's where the TikTok crazies are at. That's where the people denying basic biological realities and things like fairness in women's sports are at. And those are the things that are dragging down public acceptance of LGBT progress overall. Now, I used to be a firm believer that these should split. LGB should be split from T, split from everyone else. And I think in concept, I still am because I just think LG and B are sexual orientations and gender
Right,
identity is something different. I'm not saying it's worse, but it's different, it's
right.
distinct. And so I've always kind of agreed with that in concept. But I do think to some extent the ship has sailed. And I have no issue being grouped in with legitimate transsexual adults who are normal people who aren't crazy radicals. Many of my friends from this YouTube space, I would put in that category, the Blair Whites and Buck Angels and Marcus Dibbs of the world. I have no issue really being lumped in with them, but I don't want to be lumped in with the crazy trans activists who want to criminalize misgendering and want to get a uterus transplant so they can have an abortion. Like, obviously, that has nothing to do with my identity as a gay man. I just want to live my life in peace, have a family, have kids, get married one day. Like, I don't want any of that. And so that's where the push to divorce is coming from. I do
Mhm.
think, though, practically speaking, the ship's kind of sailed. I don't know that it will actually really happen in a significant sense.
I don't know, it might. I mean, there's a different flag, right? I mean, you got like the rainbow flag, or
So
you got
let me
that
tell you
pink and
something funny, Kim. Now, my boyfriend and I talk about this. When we see the normal rainbow flag instead of that ugly progress flag monstrosity that has slowly crowded out the rainbow, and there's barely any rainbow left because all this other crap has been put on it. When we see the normal rainbow flag, we're like, oh, gay Republicans must live there. They must be low key,
oh, wow.
like they must be low key rebelling. Like, so we only have, we don't fly a flag, but if we did, it would only be the normal rainbow flag. It wouldn't have all the crazy progress, ugly, horrible graphic design stuff.
Oh, that is hilarious. Just to see how we've evolved on that, because it used to be like anybody with a rainbow flag was like a crazy liberal, and now you're saying regular rainbow flag is like Republican gays are living there. These are the conservatives, and they're going to be
Yeah,
embraced
it's
by the
if you go
GOP.
to like a woke business, they will always have the progress flag now
What is the
that has
progress flag?
so
Because I'm only familiar with
that's
like
the one with
the
all the
light
weird
pink.
symbols in it that
Okay.
has like it has asexual pride. It has black and brown stripes for race. It has all this weird stuff in it that has
Okay.
nothing to do with LGB. And to me, it's insane because the whole point of the rainbow was that it represented everybody. And now they've
Right.
literally, it's a perfect metaphor for how this movement has evolved. That the actual original rainbow flag has been crowded out, and now there's only a patch of it left, and it's covered with all this other stuff.
Yeah, wow. Okay. I mean, I think the breakup should happen. I've always wondered this myself, so I was just curious and asking you this because I've always thought, why are lesbian and gay and bisexual lumped in
So
with
the
like
strongest argument, the
trans?
best argument I've heard is that we're all various forms of gender nonconforming. In that, like the traditional gender expectation is that a man is supposed to be with a woman, and you're defying your gender expectations. And what a trans person is doing is just much more radically defying their gender expectations. I don't really accept that because I think sexual orientation is something very different than
Yeah.
gender identity or gender dysphoria, but that's the most cogent explanation I've heard articulated for why they're lumped in all together, other than just sheer political expedience. I think LGB made a lot of progress really fast. And so a whole lot of other people wanted to tack on to that, but they didn't realize that they would be slowing it down or maybe even putting it into reverse, which is where
Yeah.
we're at now.
Yeah, because now I think there's a real legitimate push for conservatives who are using the using the radicals like that guy that's like, I want, or woman, man, who was like, I want an abortion, right? Um,
Canceled.
Yeah, I know. So they use that example that as okay, now they're latching onto that, using the outrage, and then I do believe going after, I think, gay marriage, and just like they went after abortion rights, I do think that the more radical in the conservative wing are going to try to push for anti-gay marriage next. I do think they'll use that. It's a vehicle.
Well, I just even
So
so
that's dangerous.
let me tell you this. A bill called the Respect for Marriage Act passed Congress last Congress and was signed into law by President Biden, and it got about 50 Republican votes in the House, including many Republican members I have close relationships with who I talk to on a regular basis. They were viciously attacked by the right for voting in favor of this gay marriage bill in a way that would
Wow.
have been unthinkable just a few years ago before the current backsliding. And
Right.
then dozens of Republicans who supported the bill voted against it because they were so scared of the backlash right now. And that's really disturbing to me, to see the good
Hmm.
progress that was made now is backsliding. And even look, they're even doing this when it comes to transgender issues. I think that I believe in bodily autonomy. I believe in
Hmm.
liberty. And so I think a transgender adult should be free to live however they want and do whatever they want with their own body. But now
Right.
you even have the right-wing commentary class, the Matt Walshes and Michael Knowles
Right.
of the world, applauding Russia's latest step to ban transitions for adults. Not
Right.
just talking
Right.
about, reasonable restrictions that I
For
support on
children.
minors
Right.
transitioning,
Right.
but actually trying to just restrict the liberty of adults that live in ways they dislike. That's part of that backlash, and I think it's really, really alarming and counterproductive.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us said, okay, well, we can support this when you're talking about minors. But once you cross into adult territory, you are infringing on the liberty of adult people who want to do whatever. I mean, plenty of people get all kinds of surgeries that maybe I agree with or don't agree with, right? And plenty of people marry people that I don't agree with. Like, oh, you chose that person. I mean, I've thought the divorce should happen just because I don't understand why, in my mind, who you're attracted to. Like we'd have to start separating people into various different categories of who they're attracted to, and that to me is very different than what I believe to be a mental illness of transsexual, identity, believing that you're in the wrong body. I do think that that's a mental illness. And so for me, the divorce should have been there just because it didn't. It's like, okay, you're a man, you're attracted to a man. What's the difference between you between then, or you could have been attracted to blonde women or brunette women or women with big boobs or big butts or whatever. Like, everybody's got different attraction. So why is attraction being lumped in with identity, with like your physical identity? That's why to me I felt like the divorce
Yeah, that's why I've
should be
always
there.
thought they should be different, and I would still, in theory, support that, but I don't want to. That it would be for me. It would need to be an amicable divorce, more of a parting of ways. Like I wouldn't want my transsexual friends to think I hate them or anything. I absolutely don't. But I do agree they're distinct categories, or at least they should be. Although they're really not in the public discourse. This is
Right. In
still
the
a
public,
fringe
they're not.
movement.
But they should be. Maybe they should say, you know what, we're going to go get our house in order and like with the debate that we got within our, within transgender, transsexual, we're going to
There'd
like
be
figure
way
that
less.